Yeah, what's happening? We about to bring that action. Gotta hold it down for my Seattle Kraken. Hey, we going beneath the waves. We going beneath the waves. Get it hype, step onto the ice. Ready for some action, release the Kraken. Hey, we going beneath the waves. Going beneath the waves.
What is up, everyone, and welcome into the Beneath the Waves podcast, your weekly recap of all things Seattle hockey and beyond. I'm Matt.
And I'm Derek. It is episode 68 of the BTW pod. On today's episode, we're going to catch up on all the Torrent expansion news. We're going to look into the recent additions to the Kraken, coaching and front office staff as well. But honestly, most importantly, Matt, I'm just excited. You know, it's a nice, crisp, warm Monday evening here. Get to talk some hockey with you. But we had some more than just hockey this weekend. What was going on?
This was like the sports weekend of all weekends, I think.
I agree.
We had the NBA Finals came to an end. Were you locked into that at all, or were you just kind of passively following it?
Not a finals guy ever since I dropped off the Jazz. They had a heartbreaking playoff series about 4 years ago, and I haven't watched the NBA since.
Oh, I thought you were going to say after they soft launched the Winter Classic jerseys.
No, that was a cool crossover for me personally, but nobody else.
Yeah, NBA is one of those things for me where it's like once playoffs hit, I start caring about a sport. Like I've been like the same with the NFL for the last couple of years. You know, you watch the Super Bowl every year, but I haven't cared about weeks 1 through 12 or however many there are. See, I don't even know. I just know when
Nope, it's up to 17 now.
oh, I just know when the movie trailer specials come out. So that's what I look forward to. So we had that. The Knicks won. Pandemonium ensued in the streets of New York.
So you said you start following during playoffs. Were you cheering for a specific team this year? Or
No, like by following, I mean like I pay attention to highlights, and that's about it.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I'm a Sports Center fan, but not a actual NBA fan.
Gotcha.
So we had that. We had the Stanley Cup was awarded to the Carolina Hurricanes,
It was.
absolutely destroying the Vegas Golden Knights in that game.
For the listeners, I am literally grinning from ear to ear right now. You cannot hold back a smile as a Kraken fan, or really as a fan of any NHL team besides the Vegas Golden Knights for an outcome like that.
Yeah, like just you love to see Vegas lose. You love to see Jack Eichel just miserable. You love to see Carter Hart putting up a generationally terrible goalie performance that'll go in the history books for quite some time.
With Bussy, the Hurricanes goalie, posting a shutout on the other end. It's just you literally just cannot write it better.
And then you have Rod the Bod in the locker room afterwards.
Oh my
just
God.
ripping off the button up like suit jacket or the shirt, and just dude is built like a fridge. He is scary, still strong.
Lane Lambert better hope that there is some time before the Kraken make the finals, because he's got to start working on that beach pod.
Yeah, he's gonna start doing some Pilates or something to get that going. So congrats to Hurricanes fans out there. Proof that once you move on from Ron Francis, you can win a Stanley Cup. So our time will come. Our time will come.
That's the positive spin for the Kraken there. You know, not all those guys, but at least Aho was acquired by Francis, so that's really cool to see. Maybe we'll at least have one good player that was acquired by Francis on the Kraken Stanley Cup winning team. But yeah.
Then yesterday, you and I both watched the UFC fights.
Ooh.
You had said to me that you are not a UFC guy, but most of your texts were in capital letters to me yesterday because that was bonkers.
Yeah, all the bullshit production stuff aside, it was probably one of the worst production things I've ever seen in terms of just like you said. I think you texted me just constant rah bullshit.
It was the most political, non-political sports event.
Yep, 100%. Yeah. But the fights themselves were just unreal, just so unreal. I'd still give you watched the whole thing too, right?
Yeah.
I'd still give my favorite one was still that first one, the Lopez knockout. But yeah, all of them being knockout or TKO, I don't know if that's different. Yeah, like you said, I don't
Well,
follow it at
yeah, I
all.
said to you, like, you're like, this is the best thing ever. Like, my blood is just pumping right now. I was like, just wait till you have one of the ones where it's 15 minutes of the guys just like holding each other against the cage or laying on the ground. So this is an anomaly for your first show to actually sit through. So maybe go out on top and don't worry about the other ones.
Honestly, yeah, I'll do it.
And the most maybe important achievement in the crazy sports weekend. Saskatchewan Roughriders kicked it off 1-0, baby. Back-to-back season starts
Let's
now.
go. Let's
31 to
go.
27 over the smelly British Columbia Lions. Our QB, who is 40 years old, reigning Grey Cup MVP, threw up like 417 yards, which I quick referenced some like average NFL quarterback numbers from last
Okay.
season. And, certainly not sustainable, but that's a good chunk of yards. And those are Canadian yards too, so they're like a little bit longer than
Damn. Do they go by meters on the field or
no,
no?
no, it's still
Oh
yards. I'm
wow.
just messing with you.
Okay. So they use American, that's an American metric, right?
Yes.
Yards?
Yes.
Wow. Look at that. Couldn't have the sport without that.
And there's a whole bunch of controversy right now that they are Americanizing some of the rules of the game. So next season our field's going to shrink a little bit
Oh,
and
and you
they're
mean you're not going to be able to win a game on like an out of bounds punt anymore?
oh God, that's the most god awful thing with Canadian football is you can miss a field goal and win the game on a walk-off miss. So, yeah, exciting times.
So calling it now, booking it now, Saskatchewan Roughriders to the Grey Cup again this year, winning
I'm
it.
uh, I'm just gonna put it out there. I did it last year. Gonna do it again. We're gonna go back to back.
Let's go.
Let's go. Well, we have our own little corner of the sports world now that we're gonna get into, leading off once again with our torrent talk because we are still in just the absolute chaos and anarchy that is PWHL expansion going from 8 teams to 12. And let me tell you, this opening section of the pod was going to be way different like 5 hours ago because with only 48 hours to go until the PWHL draft, the league finally, all caps, bolded, underlined, italicized in a different font, revealed the draft order. So I was prepared to just go off for like 5 minutes about how angry I feel with this league and how they've thrown away all the goodwill that they've built up post Olympics and all the hype and things like that. And I'm still kind of feeling that way, but I'm
hmm
feeling a little less so that way because the Seattle Torrent, as we hoped and as should have been, secured the second overall pick in the draft. So, what are your thoughts to that actually coming to be?
Well, it's the only way that it could have happened where, Seattle isn't going to riot. I'm glad. Personally, at this point, like we're so close to the draft that it might have made more sense to just have like a grand reveal, like literally right after the first pick is made. Like that might have actually been cooler at this point.
Yeah. Have
Um,
all the GMs sign like an NDA that they can't leak out.
yeah. But yeah, seeing the order, it goes like Torrent second, and then the four expansions, like three
Six.
through six. Yeah. So I'm glad they kept the Torrent there and then bumped everybody else back. Um, Honestly, it kind of makes me feel like they knew that the Torrent, needed this like really bad with how I don't know, just completely dismantled they've become with this process. But I'm excited because that's just the best case scenario. So got to be happy about
Mhm.
it.
Yeah, I'm selfishly psyched for us as Torrent fans, but a part of my heart does hurt for New York Sirens and Toronto Scepters fans because it goes Vancouver, Seattle, the four expansion teams, and then New York and Toronto who missed out on the playoffs.
Ugh.
That's just like I
They
don't
should have they should have
know.
gone after the
They
teams that
should
missed the
have.
playoffs.
My thing from the start should have been 1 to 4 is the teams that missed the playoffs, 5 to 8 is the expansion teams,
hmm
and then 9 to 12 is the
Yep.
playoff teams.
I think you should
Eh,
be commissioner of the PWHL.
Well, I don't think they actually have a commissioner because it's just one dude. I don't know. I don't know how the upper brass works, but like, man, Twitter is just Sirens fans being like, "Why do I even follow this league? Why do I like this league?" And I get it. I'd be pissed too if I was in their shoes, but we're eating good in Seattle with
Yep.
the possibility of what is coming our way at 5 Eastern time, so that's 2 o'clock Pacific time. So you get a nice little afternoon draft action on Wednesday. The current two leading contenders for who will be that second pick is we have Layla Edwards, who this season played at the University of Wisconsin. She had 28 games played, 12 goals, and 33 assists. So that's a pretty good stat sheet for this year. She's a three-time NCAA champion. She is a World's Championship gold and silver medalist, and she also played in the Olympics this year. She had a great role on the Olympic team. 7 games played, 2 goals, and 6 assists. One cool thing that I think is going to make her a big threat if she comes here is she has experience playing both forward and defense. So that's kind of like, we talked about Brandon Montour, how he plays defense like a forward and can kind
Yep.
of get those power plays and the extra attacker being like that. Maybe we can get something like that. And she comes with a bunch of like milestone name value too. She was the first black woman to play for the U.S. women's senior national team. She was the first goal scorer. Just this. The list goes on and on and on of all the things that she accomplished. So I definitely think that if we go with her, which seems to be kind of the prevailing hope for the fan base based on what I've seen online, I don't think that would be too bad of a pick.
Yeah, no, I like if it's just it's fundamental hockey that if you have a defense like a defender that can play up like as a forward as well, like in the NHL guys like Cale Makar or Quinn Hughes, like it's literally I've said this, but like everyone knows it's like the most valuable sort of position. So that would be really hyped to get her.
And our defense has just been absolutely gutted through this process. Caleb Barnes is out, Megan
Yep.
Carter's out, Mariah
Yep.
Keppel's out. So we need to rebuild that blue line a little bit. The
Kind of need to
other,
rebuild everything.
yeah, well, true. We need to rebuild the entire wagon because everything has fallen off. The other kind of 2B, we have 2A and 2B contender is Abby Murphy, who this season played at the University of Minnesota. 31 games played, 40 goals, 26 assists. So absolutely crazy. She is the all-time leading goal scorer for the University of Minnesota. At the Olympics, she had 7 games played, 2 goals, and 6 assists. So same Olympic stats as Edwards. And it was, I can't remember exactly when it was in the year, but she had just an absolutely bonkers viral assist that went around the hockey internet spaces where she raises the puck up and then bashes it back down between the player's leg and then just swipes it over to the other person. So if we want offensive production, that's a person we got to go for. There's a lot of yucky feelings from Seattle folks thinking that culturally it wouldn't be a good fit. We're not going to get into that, but there's some reservations on that side. But yeah, if we want a goal scorer, you can't be upset with 40 goals and 26 assists in 31 games.
Yeah, seems to be what you told me about Murphy, like that for like a locker room environment type analysis that Edwards would definitely be the clear go-to. I remember reading in Heather's article and listening to Heather's audio with Goose that she was talking about how, how tight knit the group is and how they just all love each other and it's like a very good culture. So wouldn't want that to be disrupted. And Layla Edwards seems great. And, we just said all that stuff about the offensive defender thing. But, dude, when you see those 40 goals and 66 points, that is just unreal. And with the goal scorers that the Torrent have already lost, they secured Carpenter and Gosling, but losing Bilka Knight, it's hard to not it feels like a no-brainer to me. Like as somebody who's like outside of this, it just feels
Mhm.
like a no-brainer to get that 40 goal score, like breaking the record, stuff like that.
Yeah, I'm gonna be happy either way that it goes. Hopefully, GM Meg Turner doesn't pull any crazy moves that there's someone outside of this, but I'm looking forward to seeing who we get on Wednesday afternoon and how that pans out. Now, if we go back to kind of recap the week that was, phase 3 of the expansion has come to a close, and the Torrent protected 3 more players, but they also lost 2 more to expansion teams. Our first loss was defender Megan Carter going to PWHL Las Vegas. She was picked up as the final selection in the expansion draft last year, and she played in all 30 games with 1 goal and 4 assists. One notable part of her time on the Torrent was always flexing during her walk-ins with CJ. That's always a thing you could look forward to in the walk-in videos. And Derek, you had brought up one very particular memory of Carter's time on the Torrent roster.
Yeah, it was the home opener. Did they play their first game at home or no?
No, they played Vancouver.
Okay, it was the home opener in Seattle, and I was working the game, and I believe it was Megan Carter that like absolutely just took down. Was it
With
Britta
a curl.
Curl? Yeah, Britta Curl. Um, just like I feel like it was like headlock almost, just like ripped her to the ice, and that was probably the hypest part of that game because I don't think that the Torrent did very well in that
No.
game or many of the games. Did they get shut out that game or no?
I
Because
don't.
I feel like I was like two
Yes,
games in,
because
and I was like, I still haven't seen a Torrent goal.
yes, because after that first game, still didn't know what the goal song was.
Oh my goodness!
So I
So
remember
yeah, that was definitely
that
the highlight of that
discourse.
game.
The blue line continued to take a hit when it was announced later on that defender Mariah Keppel had signed with PWHL San Jose. She missed 1 game last season and she had 3 assists on her stat sheet. Production-wise, this doesn't seem like a huge hit, but Keppel did a lot for visibility of the team. She did lots of events promoting like her fashion line and things like that, and community events. So she'll be missed in that aspect, at least for sure.
Yeah, it was kind of cool. I've seen some stuff about like the hybrid approach that she has like with the fashion stuff and with the hockey stuff. It seems really cool. Um, I think we agreed like very early on, you and I, that she seemed kind of like a Will Borgen type player, where it's like the production isn't there, but solid defense. But yeah, so it might be kind of like that sort of loss. I don't know. Was Keppel like really was she locked down on defense or was she kind of just yeah? So
Yeah.
honestly, pretty similar to Will Forgan.
So up to this point, the Torrent have lost 6 players compared to other teams. Many feel that the Torrent have just been hit the hardest out of all the other teams being stripped down for parts. There is no way that just the draft can fill these gaps. So I'm really hoping that once free agency hits, we can maybe entice someone to come over, or we get some people, coming out of the shadows and filling in those voids that were left. Because yeah, we can't. The 6 people that we draft on Wednesday aren't going to fill those 6 voids that were left.
Absolutely not. And I don't know. I wouldn't bank on it because I've heard somewhere that apparently no hockey players want to come to Seattle. So hopefully it's different for the PWHL.
We did have some good news, however, this week in phase three. The Torrent were able to select 3 players to be protected from signing with these other teams. You had mentioned before, Julia Gosling re-signed with the team for 2 years. That was a big get. She tied Alex Carpenter, who we kept in phase one for most points on the team with 6 goals and 14 assists. And she was an Olympic silver medalist with Team Canada. The other 2 protections weren't, extensions or new deals or anything like that. They were still on contract, but it was Danielle Serdachny and Michaela Grant Mentis, who were going to the last years of their contracts. Serdachny was the 2024 second overall pick, so that seems like a pretty good person to want to hang on to. And she
Yep.
was third on the team with points, 7 goals, 9 assists. And MGM missed some games at the end with an injury, but she had 3 goals, 3 assists, including one awesome jailbreak goal against the Fleet to get the Torrent back into it. We love us a good jailbreak goal around these parts. So after my predictions last week, I went 2 for 3, so a little bit better than the first batch. But how do you feel about these keepers that we kept around?
Well, I just want to say first of all, I have it in the notes here, Matt BGM, and I just feel like if the torrent went with who you said the 6 that you said, I just feel like they'd be in a great spot. Obviously, we've talked about the Bilka stuff before, but I just want to commend you. I think you're making a lot of good decisions on these predictions, and the GM for the most part seems to be agreeing with you. So I think you're locked in. um, but I just wanted to say for at least Sir Dacne and Gosling, they're both pretty young, right? Gosling's also pretty young.
Yeah.
So that's awesome to keep around, like, honestly, like pretty young um, core people that like are producing pretty well. With MGM, I don't really know how to feel. As you said, like with the injury stuff, I don't know if the production is as good. And then I was also reading our very own Heather Munka's article for the Hockey News Women's about her face-off rates with the 42%. And she said, like, I think after a few games that she started using TikTok to sort of develop her face-off skills. And I was just thinking, like, is like the coaching structure like not like it just kind of started to make me wonder about like these players and whether or not they're just sort of all on their own, like trying to, because I just feel like in the NHL, they would have, maybe it's a resources thing, it could be, but I feel like in the NHL there would be like three people that would be honing your face-offs, and you
Yeah.
wouldn't have to resort to TikTok. It
That's
like
where you have like Jess Campbell pulling Matty Beniers aside to work on
exactly.
his skating skills and
And
stuff like that.
it's not at any not by any means like a slight to MGM. I actually like commend her for going above and beyond and like and trying to find other resources. But it just made me think like players should not have to do that. So,
Hmm.
but hopefully she figured it out and it's much higher than 42% next year.
Yeah. One thing that I didn't put in the notes, but you just reminded me, a new piece of information or a new role that was added to the team is the void left by former head coach Steve O'Rourke has been filled by assistant coach Christine Bumstead. So she's moving up into the head spot behind the bench. She has lots of Sasky connections. She had a coaching role with the Saskatoon Blades and with the University of Saskatchewan Huskies. So that was exciting for me to have a local connection in that kind of way. So hopefully through this expansion process, through the draft, she's able to get systems in place and kind of be like going from the Dan Bilesma to the Lane Lambert era. We can go from the Steve O'Rourke one and done into the Christine Bumstead era.
Yeah, absolutely.
And where does this leave us? Phase 5 is going to start up tomorrow, June 16th to the 18th, and this is the existing team exclusive re-signing period. Just rolls right off the tongue. So if players are on expiring contracts and they do not want to sign with their existing team, they'll have to wait until the 19th, so after the draft and after that window closes. There's a handful of Torrent players who are on UFA and RFA deals. One thing I didn't mention before is two players sticking with the team, Lexi Agia and last year's first round draft pick Jenna Buglioni. They were on they're going into the second year of their deal, so they were open to be picked, but they weren't, so they are continuing on with the Torrent, which is awesome. I'm pumped that Lexi Agia is back. I kind of feel like she is the Torrance Vince Dunn, who's
Mm.
fiery and getting in people's faces. And there's lots of videos online of like her being mic'd up and just roughing people up, which I love to see. So that's good. Uh, Bugs had a lot of injuries this season. I think she was out with a concussion for a while, which was a big bummer. So hopefully she can bounce back. But the Torrent have three players on who are RFAs: Lily Delianides, Jada Habish, and Lindy Lobdell. So those were all draft picks last year. And then a handful, more than a handful, two handfuls, I'd even say, of UFAs in Teresa Schaffsal, Gabrielle David, Natalie Snodgrass, Sydney Langseth, Brooke Bryant, Mara Wagner. Those are all forwards. On defense, we have Aneta Teralova, Emily Brown, and Emily Zumwinkle. And then as a goalie UFA, we have Carly CJ Jackson. So I don't know how much stock you have in these people to make guesses on who to keep around, but are there any names that jump out at you?
I feel, yeah, this is literally just completely blind. But I feel like Schaffsal, it would be cool to keep CJ. Yeah, that's kind of all that. Maybe is Delianatis good or no?
She was like fourth line, getting rookie minutes,
Okay,
couple
so
assists, I think.
maybe her too. I don't know though.
So on my end, I definitely want us to keep Teresa Shucks all around. She's the one we picked up in the trade with Eldridge last season.
Let's
And
go.
she did really good when we got her. Natalie Snodgrass was a great like third liner, kind of grinding things out. Mara Wagner would be a fun, like feel good for the heart pick because she's from Seattle, so have a
Oh,
little
that's right.
hometown connection there.
Hmm.
And then on defense, Emily Brown was one of our alternate captains, so it'd be good to have that leadership piece, especially with like Hillary Knight leaving and having some consistency there. And Aneta Teralova, she's very physical, which we love to see. See her dabbing in the penalty box after taking penalties and stuff like that. And then one thing I was reminded of today is that in the PWHL, you have to have three goalies on roster. So,
Really?
yes, you have to have three goalies on roster. So, I would think that we would re-sign Jackson and then try to maybe pick up a goalie in the draft or like someone from Europe pull him over or something like that.
Yeah,
So,
that
yeah.
makes sense.
We'll have to wait and see. Like we said, the draft goes down on Wednesday, June 17th in Detroit, and each team will select six players. Again, Seattle selecting second overall, and that starts at 2 p.m. Pacific time.
And I'm just gonna say, if you don't really know who we should probably be keeping, I'd trust Matt there because he's been pretty rock solid on everything so far.
It all comes down to this, a best of seven battle, and DraftKings has you covered every step of the way. The DraftKings Sportsbook app is now available in all 50 states and includes all markets. Sweat every shift of the series all in one place with one app. New DraftKings customers sign up with code THPN, spend $5 to get 200 in rewards within 21 days. That's code THPN. In partnership with DraftKings, the crown is yours.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or 1-800-MY-RESET. New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY. Connecticut, call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino in Kansas, wager tax pass-through may apply in Illinois. 21 and over in most states. Void in Ontario. Restrictions apply. Bet must win to receive bonus bets which expire in 7 days. Minimum odds required. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see sportsbook.draftkings.com/promos. Limited time offer.
All right, so that's our Torrent talk. What's happening on the Kraken side of things this week?
Oh boy, am I feeling good, Matt? We got some good Kraken news. Finally, honestly, there wasn't a lot going on in the Kraken world. We were mostly covering Torrent, but we got two major acquisitions announced right at the same time, same day, and that's Patrik Allvin and Pascal Vincent. Okay. So we'll start with Patrik Allvin. He was named as the assistant general manager to GMJB Jason Botterill. And I'm just going to run through sort of like his past. We'll sort of see how he was cooking things before, and then we'll be able to discuss how we feel. But he started out in the NHL as a European scout for the Montreal Canadiens from 2002 to 2006. And then he went to Pittsburgh, Matt. He was with Pittsburgh for 16 years, and he got 3 Stanley Cups with Pittsburgh. Now, he did a lot of different things with Pittsburgh. He started as a European scout, same thing he was doing with Montreal. Then he moved up to the director of amateur scouting, so seems like he was doing a pretty good job. Got a nice little promotion there. He worked his way up to assistant general manager, and then was the interim general manager of the Pittsburgh Penguins. During this entire 16-year period, as I said, he won 3 Stanley Cups. Big caveat on that, and you'll hear this. If you try to praise Patrik Allvin at all, you'll hear this. The best players on those Pittsburgh teams were the likes of, I don't know if you've heard of them, Sidney Crosby, Evgeny Malkin, Chris Letang, Jake Gensel, and Marc-Andre Fleury. And Allvin had really nothing to do with any of these acquisitions. But during this time, Allvin did establish himself as a very sharp hockey mind. I don't know if you guys ever have seen Puck Empire on Instagram, one of the biggest NHL accounts. But the person who runs Puck Empire said that Allvin was revered as a great hockey mind. So that's enough for me to trust it because that dude knows ball. But he's known for his ability to spot high value among European players specifically. Such as Pittsburgh's Oscar Sundqvist, who was a third-round pick that has now gone on to play 13 seasons. He played this last season with St. Louis. Not a very like flashy, high point guy. I think he has like 250 points in like 600 games or something, but a solid guy that has lived out a whole 13 season career. He's 32 years old now. He's a UFA for the Blues. So that's all the stuff before the massive elephant in the room, which is his
Hey, you got it right this time.
Yeah, the elephant in the room. What did I say before?
The dead horse in the room.
Dead horse in the room. The elephant in the room, which is his absolutely abysmal time with the Vancouver Canucks. He served as the GM, the general manager of the Canucks from 2022 to at the end of the season, so 2026. The draft picks he had during this time, with the most games played, are defenseman Elias Pettersson, not forward Elias Pettersson, who is a pretty average defenseman, but I think he's played about 90 games so far, and Tom Willander, who is a bottom 5% of the league forward. So those are his two like guys that have played more than like 30 games and not really anything to write home about or nothing really of note. No good picks were really made by Allvin, but what I haven't really seen talked about is that he was only able to select, and this is by year, 15th overall, 11th overall, 93rd overall, and 15th overall in the last 4 years. That was like the highest pick he was able to get. So like the 93rd one, they literally, their first
You
pick
mean
was
that 93rd overall didn't turn into a superstar?
Man, how are you gonna even look at this guy after that? But I will say, Allvin, he did have one really good season with the Canucks. He was a 2024 finalist for GM of the year. So that just shows you how quickly this stuff can roller coaster, teeter totter. But now to what our own GM Jason Botterill said when asked about the Allvin signing. He stated that Allvin will work very closely with him with a focus on pro scouting. So he's going to have his own like little niche thing that he's focusing on. He's going to be able to lock in on what he's good at, and he's going to focus on scouting. The two of them, GMJB and Allvin, previously worked together in the Penguins front office. And obviously the Canucks were one of the, or they were sorry, not one of, they were the very worst team by far last season. So it's understandable, anyone listening, it's understandable for you to like not have enjoyed this move by the Kraken very much. But I only want to know one thing, and that is, how are you feeling about this one, Matt?
So I think I'd be more upset if he was coming in as the full-fledged GM of the Seattle Kraken.
Absolutely.
Assistant GM, you're helping. You got that extra letter on your name placard on your desk, so you don't have full control. Your office is a little bit smaller. But I also think, you got to give a guy a chance before he comes in. How many times have we said like, well, this one turned out to be true, but Money Puck last year, we haven't even played a game left. You already said we have a 20% chance of making the playoffs, and maybe that was generous at this point, but like you said, he has history as a scout. He'll be implemented as a scout. So it's not necessarily like he's in there saying, yo, JB, I think we need to for sure draft this guy at number 7, and it turns out to be a disaster. I think there's maybe some recency bias in that this last season was so atrocious, just burned down the entire establishment, that people think that that is going to carry over to us. But give the guy a chance.
Yep.
We if he sucks after this first season and makes absolutely dog shit choices that are clearly having his fingerprints on them, then we can light him up a little bit.
Yeah, I agree with that. He seems to have a wealth of experience. I mean, they trusted him with the keys ultimately with that Pittsburgh franchise. I'm not really buying it that he's not revered as a great hockey mind. I agree with Puck Empire because it just seems like on three different teams here, he's been given a role, and those 16 years of experience with Pittsburgh, and yeah, I'm honestly pretty excited for Allvin here, and something that people have complained about is that the Kraken don't scout very well or don't have that department locked down. I know when the franchise was announced, we were supposed to be one of like the really analytical, like like Moneyball, like Money
Moneyballing, yeah.
Puck. Yeah, yeah. Um, like have all the insights on all the prospects. But hopefully Allvin will come in and establish like a really good scouting culture. And I think it's exactly like you said. He's not acting as GM. He's doing specific things, and I'm really excited to see what he does. Moving on from that, we have a very less controversial acquisition. Maybe it's because he has a lower role. Maybe it's because he hasn't done. Oh, I also wanted to note for anyone listening, we got through that entire Allvin segment without mentioning Jim Rutherford at all. So you can't get mad at us for saying that it's all Rutherford's fault or whatever. Like, yeah. So we're
I'd
dealing
like
with what we
to.
got.
I'd like to say I didn't mention Jim Rutherford because I have no idea who the Jim Rutherford was.
Gotcha. So he's I think he's the owner or president or whatever of the Canucks, and a lot of people said that he was a former GM. He was the GM of the Pittsburgh Penguins when Allvin was the assistant GM. And so he was his predecessor there, and then he brought in Allvin as the GM in Vancouver. So a little bit of like,
Mm,
I don't know, they're buddies. I mean, kind of what Jason Botterill's doing here with like, oh, he's my buddy. But a lot of people said that Rutherford. Well, now we are getting into it, but a lot of people said that Rutherford had like more of a hand in the team than Allvin did, and so you can sort of wash it all off. But no, we're dealing with Allvin as we see it, and it's
so, like
still
when we were
still makes
saying
sense.
that Ron Francis was still calling all the shots, not JB.
Exactly. It's a
Gotcha.
it's a skeptical like claim, but yeah.
Gotcha.
Pascal Vincent, though, he was named as the assistant coach to Lane Lambert. So we have a new assistant for GMJB and a new assistant for Lane Lambert. Obviously, this position was opened up when our very own and super favorite of all of us, Coach Jess Campbell, left the team. So pretty big hole to fill here, but Pascal Vincent was brought in with 26 years of NHL experience. Um, Being on the bench behind the players, as coaches are, they stand back there. He's been an assistant coach, an associate coach, a head coach, many different places. He was an assistant coach for Winnipeg from 2011 to 2016, and in that span of time, the Jets only had one season above 84 points. So not looking great there. In 2014-15 season, though, they had 99 points and they lost in the first round. So he's head coached a team that made the playoffs. Sorry.
Assistant coach.
He assistant coached a team that has made the playoffs. That is a correct claim. He then served as the head coach for the Columbus Blue Jackets for one season in 2023 and 2024. Do you know why he served as head coach that year?
Didn't Mike Babcock get canned for like asking people's browser history or
Mike
something like
Babcock
that?
did get canned for asking people's browser history. And
Mike
actually,
Babcock, potential future Edmonton Oilers head coach, Mike Babcock.
yes, and actually, Elliot Friedman came out with an article today that there's a pending investigation by the league into Babcock now that the Stanley Cup Finals are over, and there might have been more than just the perusing of all of his players' camera rolls. So we'll have to stay tuned. Columbus said that whatever it was is so bad that they don't even want to rehash it out. So
Yikes.
they don't even want to take part in the investigation at all. But
Oh,
not looking
Jesus.
good. Anyway, that's why he was the head coach. So absolute dumpster fire season.
Yeah.
They only put up 66 points. On this team, there were only two players that had 40 points or more, though. So it was a very poorly constructed roster. And that's Zach Werenski at 57 points and the late Johnny Gaudreau at 60 points. The roster was atrocious, but Vincent is known for being a stand-in during like this very chaotic period of time. I don't think a lot of people like attribute that to him. And their GM was also fired in the middle of that season. So just tornado wreaking havoc on that franchise that year. The last two seasons, Vincent has been the head coach for the This is
Laval.
Laval Rocket. I don't know what's up with that, but whatever. The
That's
AHL
like the
team,
least French word that there is.
is it actually French?
Yeah, well, it's a place in Quebec,
Rocket?
yeah. Rocket's just rocket.
Oh, okay. Okay, gotcha. That is the AHL team for the Montreal Canadiens. That's why Matt can understand it and I can't. But in 2025, he was named the AHL head coach of the year, leading the Rocket to a record of 48-19-5. And Vincent, I think you mentioned Dan Bylsma earlier. I think he seems to be a coach similar to Dan Bylsma, who showed, struggles at the NHL level, being a head coach in that dumpster fire season. But I mean, thrived is an understatement for what he was doing in the AHL. Like he's like a video game coach in the AHL. So that is really good to see. Um, Now to what Lane Lambert said about Vincent, he said that Vincent has quote ideas. So that's good. No, on how to fix the Kraken offense, which is obviously our biggest sore spot as a franchise. It's what has defined our franchise for at least the last season. You could say the last 3 seasons. And Lane also said that he aligns with him on wanting to have a sound defensive structure as the core to build good playoff habits to make sure that you're not cheating the game. I think Lane Lambert said, where you're just hucking offense and you're not being sound on the other end. But also a huge part of this is to take a sledgehammer to this offensive structure and change the offense, build it up to a place where we can be a respectable team in the NHL in the goals for category. So with all that said, Matt, how do we feel about Pascal coming?
So to call
Go
on
ahead.
before, we want him to be the Justin Gaethje laying the beat down on our offense's Ilya Topuria.
No, it's too fresh, too fresh.
Too fresh. Oh yeah, I gotta put like a censor warning just on that metaphor
Oh,
for what we witnessed. You can't go wrong having a someone who has Coach of the Year on their resume, and it's not like his kid's little league baseball team that he brought the most orange slices to the baseball games. That something you got to be doing something right if you're Coach of the Year, and if your only head coaching experience in the NHL comes with a massive asterisk, maybe even two asterisks beside it,
yeah.
I think you get a little bit of a pass on that, that
A
you
little
get
bit
thrown in
Pascal.
on. Yes. You get a little bit of a pass when your head coach gets canned and then your GM gets canned and you're left standing in the middle of it with just everything falling into absolute madness around you. So we'll see how he does. I'm excited that he has ideas because I have ideas too. How about we just shoot the puck there? Boom, give me that monster salary that goes with being an NHL assistant coach. Uh, but yeah, this is another one like with who we talked about before, Allvin. Give him a chance, see what he does, and then let's start passing some judgment. This one was, like you said, way less controversial. There
Yeah.
was not a lot of people booing this one and sharpening their pitchforks. So I'm hoping that some good comes of this.
Absolutely. And I'm glad you drew this parallel because I was thinking the exact same thing as I was preparing the show. Like literally, I just feel like these guys, like they share some sort of parallel where they have these sort of troubled waters in their past, but they have so much experience, so much knowledge. And while like while Alvin at the GM level didn't really pan out, Vincent at the head coach level didn't really pan out, but as assistants, these guys seem to be extremely, extremely solid guys.
Yeah, let's cross your fingers. I'm sure there's going to be some availability soon with the draft coming up and probably soon after the draft that you can hear some more takes on these outside of just a press release. But yeah, we'll just have to
Alvin's
buckle up.
Alvin's Alvin's got to get to work. The draft's really soon. We got to get
Yeah,
his scouting in.
I think it's next Friday. Yeah, he's got like a week and a half. So get to work, buddy. Get those papers signed and get into your corner office. All right, and with that, that's going to be the pod for this week. A short one, a quick one, an efficient one. I felt like we had a lot to talk about, but we were just quick with it this week, getting through all those things. We will be back next week, breaking down all the Torrent's draft selections and all the excitement that comes with that, and talk about who they were able to sign. As well, we're going to be taking a look at the Kraken's drafting history and kind of what's ahead with the draft coming up, because, yeah, after that, June, I know what month it is, June 26th. Not only is the last day of work for me before summer break, but it is NHL draft day. So let's get excited for that.
And then we have do we have free agency starting at like July 1st, or when does it
July
start?
1st.
Let's go, dude.
So we will wrap up the draft. We will preview the free agency, and then we'll have
Let's
our
go.
popcorn ready to go. Canada Day, July 1st, 9
No.
a.m. Eastern or whatever time it starts at. Derek, as we get out of here, can you let the folks know where they can find more of us online?
Absolutely. You can find us at btwsea.com. It's as easy as that, btwsea.com. You can check out our store there. You can check out Matt's two PWHL articles that he's written so far.
Oh, yes.
And that's a callback to the who. Anyway, also you can go. You can find the store there. Bunch of dope designs, bunch of different merch designs. We got like Jordan Eberle, Joey DeCord, Monty Mania. We got a bunch of different stuff in there. I think we still have Hillary Knight stuff if you want
limited
to.
Time.
Yeah. Also, go check out our very own Heather Munka's articles over at the Hockey News W, and the link is also going to be in the show notes. You can also follow her on X at or just one at or two at. No, I normally only do one. You can follow her.
I'm leaving all of this in.
No. You can follow her at Heather Nicole with no E, and you can also follow at the Hockey News W to see more of her work. Please also drop a follow and a 5-star review on the podcast app of your choice, and follow us on all socials. It helps us out a whole lot if you could take a second to like or comment on those videos. And I just wanted to say that the PWHL draft is in a day plus a day from this day of recording. If you're listening to this tomorrow, if you're listening to this on Tuesday, it's in a day, and you can follow our coverage of that at BTWSEA. How do we feel about that one, Matt?
That was rough. That was your head coach got fired midway through the season. You got put in. That's how rough that was.
All right, that's going to be it for this week. We will catch you guys next week with the draft stuff. All right, thanks for listening. Bye.
Going beneath the